Good morning. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. So, Twitch is breaking all the applications. Now, I think most of my apps have a way to update to auth for like higher request rates or special access. But pretty much all of them also had, you just open the page and it just works. Well, that's going away. I may see if I can do something for the schedule because that's supposed to be something that just works. Like for most of them, it will be okay to have some sort of login step. And in some cases, you're going to want to have the higher request for it anyway. I'm probably also going to take the library. For Elm. Yeah, I haven't had these in like quick access. Actually, is there stuff I can turn? I'm actually looking at this very often. I'm going to be working on this. I haven't worked on it a lot lately. We should be done with that for a while. I think these are all like automatic. I don't look at this. I actually look at this one very often. I want to put this back when I start doing map updates again. So right now, what we're going to be looking a lot at. We got you. I'm going to need to look at that one, but it's like one of the older apps that I don't actually use as much. Probably only have to look at this quickly. And when it's done, it's done. Might check. So you didn't use the library version of it. Nothing that is like top level named Twitch for a live check. Right, that was using the OBS live broadcasting status, not the actual Twitch status. Okay. So Elm Twitch API. IBU? Yeah, auth equals nothing. So that might want to turn into that might just be a breaking change to required because that's what the API is going to require. I probably want to do some like pre-updates to the various applications. Auth headers. So right now this is casing into the maybe, so that turns into just bearer plus token. And both of these are in fact required. The dev of the library is always interesting because you kind of have to hack things up. Now, the other interesting thing we could do here is we could have some sort of like, we could make these into a single type. I guess the case where that wouldn't be so is if you had some kind of application that was like managing multiple user tokens from logins and making requests based on the behalf of multiple users. But every case where I use it is, you're only going to pass one kind of authentication as you log into stuff. Must path a valid OAuth token. And the problem is that there's no way to test this in advance. There's nothing we can do to say, okay, use the Helix v2 authentication rules so that if I don't pass it right, then you give me this error and I can actually test if I'm doing it right. We're just going to have to cross our fingers and hope. So I think that once we get an application to the point where we need to do that, we're going to want to revisit this library. Hostable should be an easy one. We just have to remove the option to use it without authentication. Stream credits currently can operate if just a username. This is going to have to be, we log in. Well, I think I've also had trouble with token expiration. I'm going to have to look at some requests and see if there is any information about how long till it expires. Or if there's an API I can do to look at that. That, I think I might be able to do something with API Gateway, which could also be a way to do some of the others, but they're, like, this generally wants to log in for, like, subscriber info and such. That's for API rate. I think this one is pretty much set up to log in anyway, but it's kind of depreciated. Da, 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 da. I think I actually was running this one. Well, I was running out the local file. If I instead ran it off of Reactor, oh, actually, which, some of these are going to be on older versions of Elm, too. That'll be the first update. Yeah, 19.0, so we'll do some of that. So we'll just have to have, like, no function available until you can actually send a request. And actually, something like this might be a okay starting point. You're going to be a bit of a special case. You don't have like that login screen right now. That just had a user request, so that's going to have a completely different display method. These have sort of like, okay, please log in or enter a username. Well, now it's just going to be login. So we are going to be doing 19.1 updates and what does that look like for library? Okay, that's a wider range as well. Uh, also, all right. So it's been a while since I worked on some of these. I don't remember if I was doing probably Reactor because sometimes you have limits on local. Okay, so that's for the chat client, which is one of the reasons that needs to log in. All right, so you need a compiler. But you're not going to be. Yeah, so we're going to update this. Now, and I wonder if this is going to be one of those cases. Well, no, that was the 1819 update. So if we do that, which should be our default version of this computer now, then we try to compile. We're just going to be stuck in compiler land for a little bit. Oh, well, it automatically updated a few things. Oh, actually, no direct problems. No indication if that worked. Yeah, so this can enter a channel name or it can log in. That option goes away. Let's bring me the view. Actually, does this affect our model? Right now, our model is going to allow optional auth, and then that will tell us everywhere to fit. Location. There's auth and there's auth login. Right. So you could have logged in as a different user than the user you wanted to view, which I guess is technically still possible. As long as you had the rights to do that. So right now, do that. That flow looks up the user ID. Now, if we just did the login here. Okay, so it logged in. It assumes that user and it's using some parameters there, so maybe it's more of an advanced use. Oh man, it's doing like a self redirect. Actually change who it's looking at. Where do we create path, create query string? Identity. Oh, not over identity. User ID login. Okay. The token. Login. Okay, so the token. Right, the token is a result of a redirect. Well, we got all that stuff. And we were only storing the target user. Oh, and then access to maybe map access token. Now that's a maybe map. It will. Well, auth is actually still a maybe because we can be in the not logged in state. We just can't make API requests there. So that. There's just going to be no provision for that channel name argument, or so we're not going to have a message for that. First view. Message. Set username. That was the only thing this did. Right, because the login was a redirect. And so is the logout also a redirect? Oh, yep, it redirects to without the access token. So this could actually be made into like a HTML never. Uh, I don't know. I don't think that works. I think never is a type. Maybe that's a type alias. Oh, and that's the thing that's actually handling it. Display name entry box. Well, you're just gone. You have any helper functions? Target value maybe. Display name entry box. Okay, so yeah, we have. I wonder if we do. Type alias like message. Okay, from the views perspective, that would be fine. You still want a UI though. Which actually means we just don't have UI messages, right? And of course, it's the first one. Oh, I was just doing view.message before. The message mapping. It's never we don't have. Okay, that's bad syntax. HTML.map. Yeah, it's HTML that does something. Message model command message. That's model browser document message. That's an HTML view message. So we've still got a view.message in here somewhere. which it's not recognizing as a... Hmm. Is there a better way than just having a dummy none there? I might have to at least have this dummy message. And then we're gonna have to have an update, which, I mean, that's a never, so, which it means it's never supposed to happen. Guess we have UI of anything. All right, remove that argument. Okay. And pretty straightforward. And a little bit of flash there. Now, one of the things I'm curious about... so I think that's a self-fetch, given that we have rate limit. There's a document expired. There's a user. Right. Mobile mode. So there's the announcement. Does this have the references? Authentication. How do we know? User access token. Expire after 60 days. Oh, app access tokens. Well, this would still be validating requests, right? Patience if it's 1 hour. ID validate. Yeah, it doesn't have any time information. It's just, is it valid? I could try to record when it was received. Oh, this is for new OS expiration. I think that's for the app access tokens. Tokens return and so is the token in like an encoded JSON thing? Access token refresh token. Okay, access token refresh token. Refresh token. So that we can get from there to find out the expiration? What I want to be able to do is to say, hey, this thing's about to expire. But we redirect, it redirects back. Okay, API, well, there's a There's a 302. Fonts headers. Fonts none. I guess that was a Rio 302 from ID. And then a get isn't going to include any data. That's ID Twitch authorized. So there's revoke. There is post token. That involves a secret. Grant type. Refresh token is a thing in and of itself. Hmm. I may have to ask around and see if there's a way to determine that, but I don't necessarily want to press up because you don't want to put up a. I guess I could put in a garbage as the token. That would be sort of simulate an invalid token. So this is currently authenticated. Make it into an invalid token. Then refresh. Okay, so it still has the ID. Now operating in unauthenticated mode, which means nothing will work. So we probably actually kind of need to. I think some of this stuff was to just save a few API requests, but none of that will work now. So if I turn off persist logs. That was not what I thought that did. Yeah, users. No effect login to IRC. So error handling is part of it. Right. So this will work because we're not actually. I might not be passing. Ooh, I might not be passing authentication to all of my requests. All right, we've done something. I probably should have done that one separately. But actually, I kind of still can because it's a file. Inbox. Blah, 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 blah. Helix dot send. Yeah, it's still sending auth for, fetch user by name doesn't. Fetch user by ID doesn't. Fetch self does. Fetch streams by ID. Fetch follows. Yes, none of this included the auth, even if it was available. Which it's not going to require that for everything. And that's where this is where we might need to do the base API change. So the application is maybe auth. But none of these calls are possible unless I guess I can start by converting some of these. All right, so this is already, this is model user ID. I almost want my own little wrapper that's like request if authenticated. Let's refresh data. So we could move, and I start put, kind of hard to, model.auth. The auth is a maybe in the application. So if we get back a response, we're going to be assuming that we have authentication going forward. We still have to pull it out of the maybe because our application can be in the unauthenticated state, even though this particular message should only be coming back if we have previously authenticated. Da, 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 da. So maybe I just have to start making these functions assume, and it's a update to our API. I'm still debating if I want to combine these. Now that they are required to always be together. That's subscriptions. Auth is technically optional in the application because we might be in the unlogged in state. Makes me wonder if there'd be some other way to handle that, like you've got the logged in state and the not logged in state, and they're almost like separate updates. Well, there are no view messages in our initial state. It would have to be able to handle location stuff. like there would be a like sort of Twitch status model that would have like most of this stuff. And you can either be in the logged out state or you can be in the logged in state. And in the logged in state, we call a different update function that only handles logged in events. Update a submodel which always has a uh, as much as I like doing that, I think that might be seems like too big of a rewrite right now. It just makes this really awkward. So I guess actually, for comparison to how this works, is this actually a map too? If all of the arguments are just, I actually have to. There's another. Well, fetch subscriptions can have a curse. I would actually want to move these parameters to the end in that case. Hmm. Or we'll just keep on doing this. It does mean we get a little sloppy with this. And surely this is called from someplace else. Yeah. And now here's where, well, okay, so we can convert you by saying just auth. Auth. Technically, I can do the same thing here. So you're maybe. This is being converted to only take its base value. But it just so happens that one of these functions calls the other. Could have done that easier by going the other way. Oh, you know what? All of these things are doomed to be auth anyway. Uh, refresh might be in a position where it could get called with the application, but really, probably not be making that call. And I see there's another just. And then there's going to be like a three-way match. That sub-auth, that sub-auth. Moth. So you were already saying, well, if it was a maybe, we don't send. But every single call does that now. That was a sort of an optimization today. Well, that does avoid all the upstream pre-checks on all the fetches. I could even have like my local request function that just skipped if we weren't authenticated. Hmm. But since all of these functions actually do require authentication, I kind of don't like the idea that we could be calling them that. Okay, so that's one. Fetch bits leaderboard. Okay, so it only gets called from one place. Both of those get called from refresh. Since we always have to be authenticated for user ID, is ever really a maybe? All right. So that is a maybe auth into the application. And then this will eventually not be able to happen because we have to pass auth to that. That self is a maybe auth. So what are we handling here? We're user ID login. Eventually have to get worked in there. This is almost like a first level case for the authentication. We don't send squid if we aren't authenticated. Then we don't have to deal with it here. Okay. Refresh. Model.auth. I want to pass it through, I have to actually do the case here. The argument order isn't quite right for map. Maybe map. I was wondering if I shouldn't have like the Twitch update function. Because you have to repeat all of the messages. That separated out the messages that mattered for that. What are you? Received a user. Then refresh the data. So that's still M user ID, which maybe we need to revisit too. Nothing. Oh, we're already getting a. Oh, right, because this was my unauthenticated. At some point, we're gonna have to come back here and test the. Well, we should just never make calls if it's. All right, Helix. Dot send. You're explicitly nothing. You're just. You're explicitly nothing. Fetch self. So you were already a little bit set up for that. That was the only place we did it. I mean, the primary way we get a user. In fact, I'm going to have to look at that case. Because there should be no case where we can't, well, we can have this stuff kind of cached. So you're supposed to be doing just, you're supposed to be doing your nothing, 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 you're just. All right, so that's kind of like first pass. I guess I can do some of the rest of these helix sends. Justs. Fetch subscriptions, fetch leaderboards, fetch user by name. So you're already in the auth section, we just have to pass that. Okay, if we have it, then we can fetch it. Although I don't know that, this used to be a thing where you could say end username equals blah. Do I ever need the target user name? Is that actually a thing now? User ID? Oh, no. Login. Got a user, we save it. Oh, does fetch self? No, that comes back on self. Or is auth login? I mean, that would it could allow you to use parameters to say login equals and here's my access token. That would be the only use case for that. Oh, you use login, not auth log. That might not match up. Unless that was argument to there, which not model.login. Oh no, joining channel. Okay, we do need it for the IRC channel. I mean, probably going to be the same as the other thing, but right, auth equals fetch follows. Fetch follows. We've got this here. And we may have this for most of them. Okay, so that's another one of those. Auth equals nothing. Fetch user by ID. Once again, probably not something we need as much. Probably going to be all the self fetches. Here, a little bit of an anachronism. Oh. Never mind, we don't actually do this here. This is a total anachronism. Whatever path that was, we lost it. Fetch stream by ID. Oh, fetch hosts might actually not, because that's not part of the Helix API. Yep. So technically, we could do something without auth. We could have the who's hosting you list. Subscriptions. So this is user ID. Refresh was set up to require auth. Could make it maybe auth, then say, oh, well, sure, here's your host. With the general Twitch thing, you're going to have to log in. So, all right. So we had some awkward bits up front, but there's really only a couple of entry points. All right, and then we look at the API update, because those just aren't going to make any sense now. I think I left you open, yeah. Okay, so this is a very awkward stage. Doesn't have any sort of override mechanism. I might have to do some like cache clearing and move some dependencies up into my main app. Because probably some of this stuff was needed by that. And in fact, I can is. So that's going to require date strings. Well, both common. Not virtual DOM. Doesn't depend on file. It doesn't depend on bytes. Let's see. This is where we might have to just. Can't find it. Oh, I have to do source. Okay, so far it's okay. All right, so auth. Yeah, so we actually have to. Uber chance have that function in here. Yeah, so once we get done here, we can update the. So that is going to be. So that was just called auth here. That goes through to there, which. That was a maybe. That was mostly to contain that maybe. So I think this function just doesn't exist. It's kind of a helper if you were doing it yourself. But since both of these are required now. I could leave that there for API compatibility, but this is already a breaking change. I was kind of wondering if these should be like, if I should have some sort of authentication structure. So that you would just pass that to all of your functions, but I don't know if I have a clear use case. That goes to there, gives you the headers. That will cause all the breakage. Oh, right, we're not watching that directory. Oh, right, we broke the token out of the auth. It's probably a better description of what it is. No, except this actually has to be auth here. Right, you are not currently in my watch set. Oh, did I have tests for this? I did. I don't know that any of them... That's going to be parser. Yeah. Oh, and the exposed list. And then we are back in stream credits proper, where we've got a bunch of these. Uh, the awkward thing here is that I have to make all of these projects depend on the local version until I'm comfortable publishing this. Uh, what is the official verbiage? Existing extensions will continue to work, so that's not going to be compilable. April, starting on. Uh, and the I guess I could actually name that. I don't have a auth header. So I think that's going to be the only change. So I guess I could kind of have all of these things updated locally. I'll have to commit a version pointing at this. Then we come back, and we publish, come back, update them all to this package. I'd kind of like to get through some more just to feel it out. Uh, all right, so in theory, the apps could be further remodeled based on the idea of required access. Maybe you could get rid of some of the maybe checks on the API things. But that's going to be some kind of deep rethinking. I guess the other thing, could we handle... Could we attempt to handle invalid bonds? Receive a 401. Okay, so passing an invalid OAuth token will... Now I think this might be a new requirement as well. But I've just been logging in with. So if we pick up our token, some of them still succeed because this isn't a requirement yet. So this one obviously doesn't work. 400. Oh, interesting. That's just, okay, invalid token to users for self. Yeah, that's just nothing. So something like this. Right, so it doesn't have the scope needed for this. Probably going to be similar. Missing channel read, yeah. But this does give us a way to get a 401 to look at all of these requests in terms of what would happen if my token expired. Once I'm assuming that it would be expired. Well, shoot. Did not match the client ID. I don't pass. Now you see, that's not the same as token expired. .503. Okay, so we should try to refresh if the session. So for refreshable tokens, make a request with expired or incorrect. Okay, so if it isn't expired, we should expect a 401. How does that surface in Elmland? We have a couple of things that can come back. Yeah, user fetch error. Error. Actually, I was looking at the console. Self fetch error, bad status. Okay, so that would be HTTP bad status? Well, I mean, this would probably be an early warning too, because this is actually our first fetch. So can we match on that? User, all right, so there was a user in the list. User error. I don't know if we're going to hit user fetch that much anymore. Self lookup did not find a user. No, that's just a self fetch error. Right, it did not find a user. Self fetch error. Can we do a now self is a 400, so that's not a good test case. Hosts. I guess I test for 400. Descriptions. Oop. Oh, is this even a thing we can say? No, this is not a thing. Oh, subscriptions had an extra argument. And we didn't capture an error field because we matched on it. Okay, that is a thing we can say. Okay, so this is a condition we can explicitly handle. Starting to wonder if there was some way I could arrange to have like a general HTTP error handler and then on success go to these various messages. Because I kind of had the idea that there might be cases we want to handle specially. So one of the awkward things here is we potentially send out a whole bunch of requests at once. I might actually want to look at the workflow there to make sure that there's a sort of canary check, as it were. So if it's an expired token, that would probably turn to a 401 there. But that would seem like their basic kind of canary thing, which under normal circumstances, that'd probably be right. I guess the only thing is that this doesn't give us any feedback about what message failed if we do a generic handler like that. Unless we, like, pass some sort of string into it. So logout right now is, oh, you know what? The user ID login on this doesn't make any sense anymore. Because we can't make any of well, we can make the host request. We can't really use this application with, uh, so really this is going to be like our init model. Except our init model gets a location. You can pass through the location from there. You can pass through the key from there. A helper method might still be handy. Oh, well, we don't necessarily need all this stuff either. Well, this is a init, not, I could have a sort of model maker function, because the rest of this is mostly commands, other than these two fields, which you could get from the model. We do initial model. Right, so the initial model is actually the effect of doing these things in this context. You actually are going to have a few arguments. Think of it. You are not going to return commands. No, this isn't quite the same. It's gonna be some similar stuff, but this is gonna be model to model. Because there's gonna be specific fields we need to update here. We're gonna leave that alone. I mean, we're not going to change time. We're not going to change window width. We're not going to change visibility. We're just going to change time elapsed. Maybe we should. So login, user ID, auth, mauth. We should disconnect from IRC if we were trying to. Might as well clear some of this stuff. Maybe you. So that's still a lot. Unfortunately, I don't know of a. Because somewhere you have to specify an initial model that lists everything. The only way around that is to explicitly list the fields that you're keeping. I guess is a smaller list. As long as you're using record update syntax, can forget a field. Actually, even though it's annoying, kind of makes me want to do this. So that I have to think about what I'm resetting when we add fields. This could also be an argument for that idea of like Twitch state. Versus sort of like other application state. In that you would have initial model for like Twitch and credit stuff. And then this sort of like environment things that were just also part of the model. So that would be there. Didn't like something here. Navigation key, model.key. Oh, apparently what wasn't that? It was navigation key. Right, it was key in there in the argument. Yeah, so that compiles. Anyway, self-fetch 400 would mean user not found. I don't know if that one's going to be different for expired versus valid. You won't really know until you actually get one. If I'm going to refactor it, I don't necessarily want to be copying this around all over the. Maybe that's our baby step right there. That's Twitch API. Which we think this is what it's going to be. Oh, I didn't update the so what was we have this function here. Fetch user by name. And is this also, this is also in the README. But that was the text I just replaced. I put into the buffer. I've actually still been in the operating system buffer. And actually probably in a different Vim register too. Oh. I looked at that. Oh. Yeah, all the Elm examples do this thing where they use the abbreviated names, and then you go to use it, and it's like, what is that really? Uh, okay. So that was the Twitch API. Actually run this code. So we would expect it to get that and to go back here, and some other things will come in, and it will be unhappy about receiving some messages, so we might log out multiple times. And I had space allocated here for login box, maybe. All right, so we need to handle this for multiple endpoints. So this is going to be some kind of response. Now I might use response for some rate things in some other applications. The problem here, what's the type of this? It has to be able to handle all of this other stuff. It's a message. Well, this kind of ends up being a function, doesn't it? The response. How's the one that does the rate management stuff? Yeah, so that's response message. Submessage. Yeah, but that's it. Like that's just kind of a wrapper around the entire. I actually have to pick this apart a little bit. And these types don't like sort of variable type functions in them. So we have to be able to get this thing to type as a possibility at all. So you have to get the result, and then everything else we're going to send to it is over here. Means you have to have a function. You see, as soon as you put a variable type in here, it's going to want message to be of A. And then all the everything in the application is going to be a message A of a specific type, not of a general type. But I want to be able to wrap all of this stuff in that message. So it's like the result of this function is going to be another message that we can process. But I have to be able to pass this in there. And I don't think that types. Yep, it has to be a variable message now. I would almost have to sort of sub-event that was fully typed for each of these. Well, no, because it still has to be kind of a variable type that's... Could I have a more involved function on the other end? As long as it returns a definite message when we're all done. So right now we've got a tagger. This is actually the Helix API, which we're just looking at. Now you see this thing can be variable. It's just a function. So we receive a result and we either return a logout message, maybe just like HTTP error with the error. Then we can go through all the errors in the regular update handler. Or it returns a particular message on success. So rather than a generic response here, we would have like HTTP error. And I might want to have like a string for the claiming the source. And we can make that compile. Host self-use. And then we have general fetch error. Oh, okay. So for this to work in the general case, that was an inappropriate spot there. We don't actually know necessarily. I mean, that might still be a good response. That's compilable. The changes we're going to need to make to, well, I guess I can pass through the error if there's an error. For now. So now we're going to have a plain old function. Plain old function. See, the last thing it's going to receive is going to be a result http.error and some type that it's going to pass there. It's going to have a function that returns a message and takes an A. For the purposes of, oh, actually, can I just make an HTTP no error? Oh, no, yeah, because the result is either an error or a not error. So I can make an OK with that type to pass through there. You're going to need a string in case of error. I really can almost wrap my Helix function. Okay, so we've got a source. We've got a success function. And we've got a result. And I might be able to use result maps and things here. But we're going to do exactly one thing. An OK value we call success value. And from an error, we call HTTP error source error. And I think that should be compilable. Compilable. You're a little bit special. This was hosts. And you're also not necessarily the main target for this. So fetch follows. This was tagger follows. This would be HTTP response follows. Oh, you have to be in OK until we. So you actually have to be in for now. Result HTTP error A to message. OK. HTTP results. Didn't get that far. And that's compiled. Which that should probably be something that is, okay, so we were there. We want to log in, convert that to a bogus token. Oh, maybe follows isn't a 401. Yeah, so I have to do leaderboard or subscription. No, I should still be doing, it's not doing an error at all. Subscriptions. Subscriptions auth error. Which we had nothing to really say there. And that did end up logging us out. Okay. So bits leaderboard. I forgot authenticated here. That's self. That streams. Also, maybe not the biggest issue. Now we're doing other stuff. And I mean, I guess we could also apply this to hosts. Self-fetch. Right, so I didn't include any space in HTTP response. No, HTTP error. I kind of don't like that. Okay, so we don't explicitly handle 400. It's just a general error. All right, so now, in theory, none of these have to handle actual error cases. You're still a sublist. HTTP response. So you are no longer an OK. You are no longer a result. And all of these handlers aren't OKs. Nope, not error. Posts error. Follows OK. Follows error. OK. Descriptions error. Bits leaderboard error. Bits leaderboard OK. 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 Error. Okay, we passed a fake value at some point. All right, so we're still handling our errors. We should be able to it just goes right back to operating. Unified H. And I need more water. I'll be back in a minute. No, I pulled this out for, ooh, modification station fragment. Yes, please. All right, that's a 3 of. Okay, so this is a little bit bright for Rex. and it's in my face sometimes. Alright. Probably time to go get some air.
Believe your eyes in one. All right, well, we're warm. I don't see anything in here worth picking up. So now I'm just gonna say here, I've done this, I think twice. This little trip. Shit, it's another fucking bear. Ah! Okay, all right, that's gonna be clipped. That's gonna be clipped, isn't it? Yep, that's gonna be clipped.
We get some more damage going here, please.
All right. Come back. All right, so if it expires, it will log out. It will be immediately obvious that that happened. I'll have to see what happens when it expires, if it does. To see if it can maybe be more graceful. But other than switching this over to the published library, which I want to see about converting more stuff before I call that done. So we've got a compiler. So what's next? Probably the stream credits. This is going to be a very, very similar setup. I might actually want to cross-reference. Oh, you're going to be a Elm version change, I bet. Elm.json. Okay, so no actual needs to. Oh, that must have been the Elm version change. So you're actually on a even older version. So what were the breaking changes there? It's hostable, which we're not using right now. Helix subscriptions. Remove Kraken, which we're probably not using. Okay, no. We want to get our reactor rehomed. Okay, so this is... Wow. This one didn't even have the ability to log in. So that's going to be a more significant change after all. Now this one I've wondered if it could be turned into a more significant or something. But I mean that's a project for later, because that could easily pass application. Team credits. Hosting clip. Since this never used authentication, I think. Oh? Right, auth equals nothing. Probably I just want to switch you over to direct library reference so that we just start using required start. Oh. I need to have the ability to log in before I can make any of these requests. Which is going to be a whole extra hurdle that everybody has to deal with when they're trying to make a Twitch app now. I guess you start off with the like get your fixed application key for dev and then worry about the actual login process. But this is process. My main work item. We need that entire process. Get our syntax handling. Okay. This should probably be auth. So actually, your model needs an auth. So it is a maybe because we can be in the unlogged in state. I don't think I need auth login. We didn't need an auth before. That was the login and user ID of the user we were looking at. You may or may not need. There's not going to be a big need to look at other users. So it's not going to be a UI supported thing right now. We are going to have to deal with that. I want to pull this up a little bit so I can see file stats. So it's compilable. What do we do? So initial model. Right, we do an up a location update and then get it in there. None of these things. Right, you have to return a model, but we're doing an update here. So we do kind of have to do this update thing. Oh, you are a browser application. You are getting your key. Current URL. Yeah, this one isn't really designed to be used outside of the OBS environment, so it doesn't do as much stuff. Just records location because so this handles some refresh scenario. Handle some user information update. That self is going to have to be a thing. I mean, like, you really should do it that way. Good. How much of this do we need up front? Our initial task is just get viewport. Oh, right. You do your pen. You've got a queue manager, so that's why you can put off some requests. Well, that could be handled pretty easily. Set up. We're not going to worry about auth right now. We're going to get this thing converted to location update. It's like I'm referencing something and I'm working in different areas of this thing. So these are eventually, these are gonna have to be nothing, nothing. All of that needs to, all of that needs to get moved over to the updates here. Login equals m login, m user ID, m user ID, auth. We're eventually gonna update that here. Show clip. Right, this is the dev time thing. I don't want to be hitting that. These are all going to be set here. So actually, for an update, it's not in the URL. It probably should go to default. Be with default true. So this was load time only. I might need a separate step for that. So on startup, we're gonna do the window size once. This used to be a one-shot startup thing. We didn't really detect changes. We do this anywhere else. We have set username. I might need a function that's just like startup requests. And I guess any URL change, there shouldn't really be too many. We could go ahead and redo. Have that. Have this stuff over there. I don't need initial model as a reference anywhere, so I can just do this as update. Shoot, is it model? Model message or message model? Message model. That works. But I don't need you in a let. User ID. Oh, you're not a maybe. No, it is maybe. Value was not a function, it was given. Oh, old version. Oh, even though you're a command none. This has actual commands we have. Oh, we know that this sends no command. Excuse me? I just called it model. Probably should just call it model. So that just sends up requests instead of actually doing direct requests. This actually calls some stuff into question here. Behavior and so right now this just takes this. Well, once.
Hypercontract, not because I'm a liar.
I'm
Okay. A button to reload. Yeah, maybe it's show clip. Okay. I don't remember seeing that before. This clip's route is depreciated. Okay, so it's that particular clip got removed. I may have had some like cached data. What is the say 410? Well, that's useful. From is the actual actually having this whole thing might be useful. Oh, another one. But detail fetch. That might in fact be it. So that could be. Oh. Well, I mean, it was clearly working before, so rather we were clearly seeing stuff. Now, what may have changed is I have seen a couple things that had the wrong length. Oh no, 410 is gone. So yes, that is some dead clips. From the looks of things. Okay, so step one. We have gone to a format that lets us handle URL changes in authentication. Oh, once again, Let's forget that. Handle URL arguments instead of init. All right, that gets us more comparable view. Which has opportunity to that goes straight into auth. And then that determines if we can make any requests at all. Actually, in this application, well, logout should probably clear my pending requests. So if we do something like that, then that should take care of if we've queued something with the wrong ID. And now, actually, yeah, the some of the Clips API stuff shouldn't be affected by this. Only the Helix send. Model.auth. With the refresh. Got user. These are the pre-checks before all of that. This create path. Oh yes, this is navigation push URL, navigation key, user ID change, which happens there. That's only used when we do push URL stuff. Oh. Yep, we've got some very similar code here. We've got a create path here. And apparently it has to be custom to do that. And we've got create query string. Get the entire model. Oh, wait, we already had a problem. Extract hash argument. Oh. Yeah, you compile. Now we don't have the actual means to log in yet. Display login. Oh, that might be, yeah, that does the log out. Okay, and the login there. And we've got a separate Login box. Do I use this twice? Maybe I do. Okay. Now, there would be no display login in this one. All right, so that is, well, let's kind of process. It kind of all has to go together. Yeah. So we've still got this stuff down here. Which gets used. Yeah, so that gets reused. And then here, case model.auth of display footer. Which is going to now need a model. It's not typable without showing the model. Oh. One of these is LMUI and one of them is not. So we're going to have to do some conversion here. Late item. URL for redirect. It was right above display footer. Right. Clipboard. Oh, I did not actually copy this stuff. OAuth 2 is still under Kraken, huh? Is that something that's changed since I first built this? Authorization bearer. Authentication. Getting a token. Yeah? Kraken. Oh. id.twitch.tv. Okay, so this is actually a change affecting... Have a full example? Revoke. Does that mean it's OAuth 2 authorize? Is validate. Oh my gosh. They don't actually tell you where to go. Is id.twitch.tv. This is OAuth implicit. Maybe it's a different document. Get HT. Okay. Okay. So this is something I need to go back and update in the other one too. Oh, and this needs different permissions. In fact, this needs like no permission. They say if this is optional, just space separated. You don't need chat. You don't need bits. You don't need read subscriptions. Okay, so you were not doing URL work before. And we need like URL builder or something. I've got a Twitch ID, but I didn't need it in the view. And I did in fact have this. And then we've got format change. Wonder if I've ever done this in a different. So in my footer, we've got some href. Swedish text. Okay, so you're that. The text is still text. You gonna be a span? URL equals. I mean, maybe converting stuff over to Elm UI could be an interesting project. href. Now, does display login have an argument? No. None was. Other things. This is a text, blah. Got two instead. Right, that used to be a different format. So you need parentheses now. Auth login should be okay. So I did use that to display who you were logged in as. Which is probably good information to have. Now we are going to have this. Okay, so you... I had a separate login link in the other app. We also have to put off a bunch of that stuff until we actually are authenticated, but that might come in later. So that is this, essentially. Also, this is related to... Oh. Related to this state. Plain name entry box, which is not... That's like one piece of it. Case model.login. So this is really going to kind of be... Well, you're technically doing model.login too. So there is no name entry box anymore. Yeah, so those are closely related. Our model.login check is a little bit different. This is if we have no hosts, but we're logged in. That should... It's model.login. Model.login can... We're all set up. We're not going to have a name entry box. This is if we have user ID. It's not going to be a name entry box. It's going to be... hey, look, there's target value again. Is only for that. That's going to be set username again, which is not the only message this time. Okay, and that is compilable. And then this needs to be positioned. So that would be similar to what the stuff we removed did. My name entry box. I probably had some styles on that. Have a separate style sheet? It does. Name entry. You do not by yourself have any stuff. I probably should have a block element. Oop. Okay. I probably need to update my app settings. So this is a dev. I may have been developing this someplace else earlier. Applications. Hosting clips. Open close local is just localhost. I definitely did not get to stream credits local testing. Yeah, I need the complete URL, looks like. It didn't matter before. Well, this might still be a first-time login. Authorize. All right, so this has not. Yeah, I need to do the self lookup to get my name now. We've got some stuff here. So that's our login loop. Oh, the login loop. Now you stream credits. Current URL, case mauth. So right now this is a command none, and it does all the update stuff. That's URL based. If we don't have any of that, fetch user by ID, fetch user by name. But we're going to need auth to make any of these calls. All right, I need a break. I'll be back in a few. Cannot draw any cards this turn. that becomes a bit more interesting with the 3-cost nightmares, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can't get me up there, can you? Yeah, no, you can't. Really? Come on, guys. Just one. There we go. Proud of you. Hold on. Okay.
First Frosty, then I'm coming for you, Kringle. Yes, I will single-handedly win the war on Christmas with my nuclear shishka bomb. I know I'm lagging like crazy, but it's fun. I'm gently floating to Earth. There's that Sims crystal again.
Alright, welcome back. Oh, so that's all the stuff we want to do. If we have everything. So this stuff will come by doing that. And the self-call should really get us both of these. If we don't have auth, we can't do anything. So in theory, we don't have either of those. What we would do, we do have auth. It's gonna have to be in there. Anyway, you, and then what the heck? Okay. Except you're actually there. And nothing really is going to be a... Oh. I'm wondering if I should immediately send... Well, it depends if we have auth. We don't have any of this stuff. I almost want to say we should immediate send on that. All right, and then this... Should, well, this was converted to the other API. Fetch user by name, fetch stream by name, by ID. This is actually going to be, but until we get the rest of these working on format, we have to say just there. And we have to handle self. Let's just do that for. All right. Do we have any simplified handling here? Auth login. Oh, we only this only used that for that. Okay. For auth login, we are going to just assume the happy path here, where we're fetching all this stuff from self, and then then we're doing a lot of stuff. Oh. That works, I guess. Does user update both of those? User updates both of those. Why do we need a separate message? I was using that for auth login. Oh, I copied the version with the wrapper. Okay. We've got an access token, got a user. We lost this. Maybe that only comes in on update. Yeah, so that adds a parameter. Model.show clip. I'm not handling that properly. Oh, because that was after the token. Maybe this stuff has to not use the queue. The message that triggers that. Next request. Oh, this uses its own response handler already. So it's actually going to mess that up too. Count requests. I might have to bump the queue once. Like if there's multiple things, you might still want to stuff. But then that actually does send commands. Wait, nothing here sends a command itself. But I would have to capture the model and then pass that through to the app. Well, that's what update takes. That would turn this into update. Next request probably takes a time. Do we use the time? We record it. Oh, that just drops it on the floor. Wow. Oh, right, because this is current URL, so the first time we call this, we were ignoring the command for our startup. So actually, that is solvable. It's just kind of a pain. Come in here with that, so the first thing we want to do is fetch self. Okay, so that gets through that step a little nice and fast. I'm still seeing a lot of these errors that worry me a little bit. I don't know if I've got old data or what. Oh, I had another post limit. Another dev command. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this actually does upgrade my request limit here. So this accomplishes fetch self. Oh, yeah. This originally had some spacing stuff around it. Because it was in a different system. I guess it's really display login, huh? No, you have to be an actual thing. Well, it's a little bit better. Now, does this include the rate limit stuff? Right, you didn't make enough requests for it to matter. Hostable might have done that. Yep. So there's some code I should be able to pull out of here. I might want to update this application first and then kind of... Actually, this is going to matter. It's just going to be authenticated rate limit. Because you can't make authenticated requests. Hi. We might like to have the expiration error checking. Now, Clips is actually a different system that's not necessarily going to be authenticated. Oh, we actually haven't required. Oh, yeah, these actually aren't authenticated checks yet. Or we're not making enough to matter right now, but yeah. Elm.json. I mean, the messy part, isn't it? I'm not even here yet. I have to get all of these to pass authentication methods to anything that does helix.send. Fetch user by name. We are in a context where we have that. Here we are. That's the only place it's called. I'm not even sure we're going to end up using fetch user by name anymore. Fetch user by ID. Only used in the same place. Auth equals nothing fetch clips. Oh, this is a Helix endpoint. Okay. Yeah, that is called from other places. From user. And from hosts. Resolve loaded. It has an entire model. This is checking user ID right now. And it's saying if we don't have a user ID, there's nothing to fetch. It's probably going to apply to import clips too. We need an ID we care about, and we need to have authentication information. And this is the one that's been one of the ones that's been troublesome. It was like this entire API gone or what? Looked like it was it's a Helix endpoint. Authentication. Whenever there's a new Twitch API, it's gonna get clips. ID of the clip being queried. Let's fetch clips. Fetch clip. Yeah, clips. Okay, this is the one that might actually be gone. That is just an HTTP request. Okay. Well, that could be that could be an interesting situation. Okay. That would be unfortunate. You should have had to go to manual tagging. Right. Fetch hosts. Navigation we still have to do. Command? Ah, that kind of pick command. Well, if I change anything here, I'm going to have to change them all. So you would get auth from... We have to do this. We're probably going to have to do fetch hosts. So this looks like... User ID, login not equal. Okay, so if something changed, update the path. We don't necessarily push a URL if nothing changed. Yeah. Not a batch anymore. Okay, fetch clips. We got the list of hosts. Requests. Append requests. Can't do any of that if we don't have auth. We might end up hitting some other here. Resolve loaded. If we have a user ID, and we have auth, Okay. Okay, so yeah, clips.twitch.tv we're gonna have to look into later. Auth equal nothing. Okay, so that import clips is import clips. Okay, there's no commands there. Yeah, your model. Helix.send. So fetch user by name, fetch user by ID, fetch self, fetch clips was the extent of that. Oh, okay. So request rate wise, I'm going to end up including things to the others APIs, which might not have a similar limit. So having done that, so I haven't done anything that will have a different API impact. So these could probably wait to like change version and just remove the just. I guess we're updating it to the required auth. Necessary, but all right. So that is like two of 5, one of which is kind of depreciated. Oh. Interesting thing about this is that they're technically different APIs. I've got queuing. I could potentially do a separate queue. Oh. I didn't do expired token detection. We had most of the way working from the other one. That might be fairly drop in. So it's actually HTTP error, which we rewired that a little bit. Right, I didn't have a separate message for self on this. Now, I guess having worked it out, could maybe go ahead and convert those. I mean, our logout method. All right, this, well, we do want to reset a lot of application state. So model.location, model.navigation key, model.window width, model.window height. Time isn't going to change. Login's going to be nothing. User ID auth. Oh, this does potentially change location. All right, so there's going to be no hosts. Some of these are technically caches, but false, false. Filter, reset requests. The awkward thing here is that there could potentially be outstanding requests. Because that has to do with the runtime system. Okay, we got that. Did log out. Fetch, 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 fetch. Okay. I really messed this up that many times. There we go. Okay, so we've got multiple levels of... the only good thing about this is that I might be able to put this response wrapper on there at this level. Oh. Response. There's still going to be a response. Response. And this format was, we need a tag string. I'm not sure I really need all of these anymore. Fetch self. Clips. Clip details. Hosts URL. Fetch hosts. And the type for all these is going to be wrong. Handling all of this stuff up front now. We need OK and we need error. I think special there. Special there. Special there. Special there. Ah. You've got a parameter. Okay, so we're still got this thing. That's going to have to be its own adventure. That takes care of... So modify token. I didn't immediately update. And that did not log me out. Clips. API.twitch.tv. There's no special scopes in any of these. So it's not failing right now. Okay. Well, in theory, we approved the code on the other one. So we cross our fingers and hope it works on when it turns on, because there's no way to test it right now. Theoretical. Fired token. All right, and that is, see, that's actually kind of running requests in the background. That shut down. That is as much as I'm going to do this morning. I'm probably going to have to come back to the, well, I don't know. I might want to poke into the 410, but if that turns into a rabbit hole, I might need to get onto the auth stuff. I mean, I've got over a month, but one of them might be a harrowing adventure. It's actually supposed to work for unauthenticated users, which means you have to have a server. Hostable should be easy. Following videos already had a login method, but once again, we have to remove the ability to use it unauthenticated. That might have already been kind of required because you wanted to get user information. But I'm not using it, which put back the feature it was meant to replace, so. That's pretty low priority. So we've got our error message. We've got hostable, which I already use logged in most of the time. So it's just removing the ability to use it logged out. And then schedule from videos, which pretty much has to be a server of some kind. Now that might just be like an Amazon gateway that like adds an API key. I can see if they can do that. And since I'm going to be managing keys, I might have to do some research on that off stream. If that does work that simply, then it'd be a pretty straightforward switchover. But maybe I want to think about doing a little bit more on the back end. We'll have to see. Now programming is over. I am going to come back and do some Step Mania. Well, that's not code. So if you're here for code, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. I want to actually be able to update this credits application. Well, I'm sure my API is settled. This is going to be the hard application. That's supposed to just work. This is when I'm normally doing coding, and then the period after now is partly time change and partly I'm going to go do Stepmania. If you just want to hang out, I will in fact be back in a few minutes. Bye.